April is National Donate Life Month, and our next guest is sharing the story of her twin sister and how she changed so many lives through organ donation. Here to tell us more is Michelle Lago. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us here at Live in the Bay.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
It's especially important to be here in the month of April because April is Donate Life Month. And the purpose of it is really advocacy around organ donation itself and also transplant research.
Yes, and obviously this is so personal to you because of your story and what has happened with your sister. So, tell me a little bit about her and how you're honoring her legacy.
Yes, thank you. Well, 7 years ago, Jenny gave birth and 3 hours later suffered a pulmonary embolism, and which caused her to become brain dead. And so during that time, there was a window of time where we weren't sure whether we were going to be able to if she would survive. Once we realized that there was no chance for her to survive, my family and I made the hard decision to take her off life support. And obviously, the grief and pain of her being on will, never go away. But the beautiful thing is that we knew without a doubt that she was an organ donor. She had, checked the box on her driver's license, but more importantly, she had made it known to us and her family and loved ones. And so when the time came to make that really difficult choice, we knew exactly what to do, and we knew that she would want to be an organ donor as well. I'm so proud of my sister always, in life, definitely. I mean, not only is she my identical twin sister, she's also my best friend and the best person I know, my favorite person in the world. And so the fact that she lives on through these 5 recipients who are happy and healthy and have lives because of her and what she's done for them is absolutely beautiful, and it's something that she would want as well.
Yeah, well, I'm so incredibly sorry that, this happened, but I just want to commend you for continuing to honor her legacy and tell her story and be here and share your story, because you might inspire somebody to become an organ donor. And I want to talk a little bit about, the 5 lives that she saved and helped and really touched so many others through beyond just the organs, through tissue donation. So she's really helped more than 5 people. But, tell me, I know there's one in particular that is, you were able to meet. And so tell me a little bit about that story.
Yes. Well, through the process of organ donation for the recipients and for the donor families, there are agencies that you work through, and sometimes you can get into communication with them. You can write letters back and forth, and very rarely do you actually get to know people from the other side. The donors may not necessarily know who the recipients are, and vice versa. But through a series of circumstances, I was actually put in touch just about 2 months after Jenny passed with her liver recipient. His name is Jeff. He's wonderful. He's exactly our age, which is kind of interesting as well. Yeah. He had been long suffering from liver disease since a child, and he had been on the liver transplant list for, I think, almost 2 years at this point. And if he was not going to receive a liver, soon, there could be a chance that he would not survive. So it was really critical. And he didn't just get any liver, he got Jenny's liver. Yeah. And she took such great care of herself, and she's so healthy. And he and I laugh about how he has the cream of the crop organ. And he says all the time that he feels like he wants to live in honor of her as well. Because of the life that she lived, he wants to do the same. And so when we first met about 2 months after her passing, I got to know him. I got to know his son, who is 1 year older than Jenny's son, actually. And we formed a genuine friendship. We've spoken together across the country at some transplant forum benefits and done some advocacy work together. But in addition to that, we actually just went to the Super Bowl together.
Yeah, what an incredible time.
I know. So he surprised me with tickets at the Super Bowl. I was there working, and he happened to be in town and going to the game, and he knew, obviously, I'm a huge 49ers fan, and I didn't have a ticket to go. So the morning of the Super Bowl, he surprised me, and we had the most incredible time together. So there is joy and pain, and there's beauty in the fact that I can see Jeff 7 years later after his transplant. He's healthy and happy and a wonderful father to his son, and going to football games and doing all the things that, yes, we wish Jenny were here doing, but she can't be. and he is, and I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, your sister is really just impacting lives, years and years beyond the actual event of her passing and her giving her donating her organs. She's still continuing to impact people's lives in ways that they never, could have imagined. What would you say then to anyone who's not an organ donor, or maybe thinking about should I, shouldn't I? What advice would you give?
To me, it's such a beautiful gift, and it does bring peace and comfort to the families of those who are surrounded by the person who was a donor. I mean, there is such a thing as being a living donor as well, and that's something I'm even learning more about. But you never want to come to the place or think about being in the position where you may need to be an organ donor, or a loved one may need to be. But if the time ever comes, you want to be prepared and let everybody know in your life that it is your wish and they can help you to fulfill it. It can be an awkward conversation. It's hard to think about. It's even weird to think about, honestly, thinking about pieces of my sister living in others. But if you can kind of get over that sense of it and just think of it as in the bigger picture, in the true miracle, the scientific miracle that it actually is, and just the fact that it's a beautiful thing. And so I would hope that people would really consider being an organ donor. And if you do have questions about what that actually means or what it entails, and the process of it, please check in with your local donor agency. Here in Northern California, it's Donor Network West, and they can answer questions for you too, so that you can feel prepared and understand.
What is one thing that you would want everyone to remember about Jenny's legacy?
Thank you. Oh man, I could talk about her all day. Just that she was such a generous and kind person in life, and thoughtful, that of course it makes sense that she would do this in her passing as well. She just had an incredible energy for life. She was curious about things. She traveled. She tried all sorts of different sports and activities, and she just always wanted to learn. She had so much more life to live, but even though she died at age 37, my family and I do feel like she lived so much in those 37 years, and that does give me a lot of peace. Although, I'll never be the same without my sidekick.
Yeah, she's your twin sister.
Yes.
And I know that the bond you share is just so beautiful and will continue to always be there. And I just want to thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and her legacy and honoring her. And I know that it's going to inspire so many people out there. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.